Hey friends, friend of the show and Paint Your Own member Chad did some snippets on his recent Dream Marvel Day at Sea sailing. Also includes his first visit to Lookout Key, which is pretty cool. And I just wanted to take the moment to first off say thanks to Chad for doing these. We really appreciate it. I think it turned out pretty good. And as always, this is a Snippets episode, so you will get a little bit of diversity in the recording quality. I think it all sounds pretty good though, but you will get some of that ship background noise, which is to be expected with the snippets. But we hope you all enjoy, and on to the episode.
Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL Podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Good evening, DCL Podcast. This is Chad, your sometimes roving reporter, coming to you from the Disney Dream. Blake and Christy asked me to make a few snippets this week to pass along to everybody. Here's the first one. So forgive me and my rambling for a little bit, but I want to at least kind of bring everybody into kind of what's going on in the Dream and kind of what our experience has been so far. Dream looks amazing. We were last on the Dream back in April of 2024. And she went through her big refurbishment dry dock last summer and looks great. Honestly, the last time around, I felt like there were some areas that probably needed a little bit of love, and not seeing anything like that right now. So the Dream is looking better than ever and ready for a lot of magical voyages for people. We are on a 5-night cruise to Nassau and Castaway and Lookout Key with a sea day, and that sea day is extra special because it's a Marvel Day at Sea. So pretty excited about that. This is actually our second time on a Marvel Day at Sea cruise. The last time was 6 years ago in 2019, back when it was on the Magic at the time. So excited to get to experience that again. The formal Met Marvel stuff doesn't happen until our sea day on day 5, but you're starting to see sprinkles. So like today, my wife and I went and grabbed some coffee at the Cove, and then we were kind of walking on deck 4. And around the corner come Thor and Mighty Thor. So you're starting to see the sprinkles of the Marvel characters kind of coming out now and again. So really, really fun. I mentioned, the sailing is out of Fort Lauderdale. We spent Sunday night up in Orlando at Walt Disney World, and then met Lake and Christy, Dave and Katie as well at Trattoria Al Forno. Had a great dinner with them, and then hit the road on Monday morning to come down here to Fort Lauderdale. So I'll say this is our second time sailing on Fort Lauderdale. The port is really, really easy to navigate, but the one thing I will say is that the drive gets long, a little bit annoying. I would say, it's about a 3-hour drive to get from Orlando down here, and about that halfway point, you are ready to be done. So I'm pretty excited that our next cruise is going to be on Fantasy out of Castaway Key, where the drive is much shorter, and we could probably just leave the driving to the Disney transportation rather than us even managing rental cars or anything out at all. But it's not terrible, but at the same time, it does get to be a little bit long, especially when you're trying to leave in the morning. And then we got a notification actually shortly before, a few months before this cruise, that they moved the sail away time up an hour, and all aboard was then at 3:00. So by the time we left the beach club at 9, hit the road, we stopped for food and gas and stuff like that. We got to the Fort Lauderdale airport about 1:00, dropped the car off, and then had to catch an Uber from the port. So we probably got to the port probably somewhere close to 2:00, which, with an all aboard of 3:00, if all of a sudden something were to happen, traffic jam, something like that, there's a bit of caution that you gotta take when you're planning something like that. So just be aware. It's not terrible, but it's also advisable to try and leave as early as you can if you're going to make that drive, just because you don't really know what's going to happen with traffic. Like I said, the all aboard was earlier, but they actually held our departure till 7:30, I think, almost 7:15, because of high winds. All the other ships left port. We stayed for trying to let the winds die down a little bit, but didn't delay our arrival here into Nassau at all. We were right behind the rest of the ships kind of coming into port. And yeah, it was a little bit of a breezy day here in Nassau, but nice. Mostly sunny, but patches of clouds and stuff like that here and there. Low 70s, a little bit breezy if you were up at Satellite Falls, but we were kind of down in the cove near the windows, just kind of watching the ship next to us. And yeah, it was a busy day actually in port. They had 6 ships in port, so it was us, MSC, Seaside, and then Royal had 4, Utopia of the Seas and Symphony of the Seas, both Oasis-class ships, and then Liberty of the Seas and Independence of the Seas were also here. So busy day here in Nassau, and then now we are on our way to Castaway Key. So looking forward to that. I'm sailing just my wife and I this time around, and we got lucky and scored a cabana at Serenity Bay. So we're going to spend our day there after we do the 5K in the morning. So we'll earn our lazy time tomorrow. Today we didn't really earn it, but tomorrow we'll earn it with the 5K. Anyway, that's about it. We're here for day one. Oh, one other thing. I guess you may hear the background music. It's pirate night here on the Dream. So we would have been going to dinner at Animators tonight, which to me is the best place for pirate night, just because you get more of the theming with the screens and whatnot. But we are instead going to Palo. So excited to try the ossobuco that Lake is always talking about. And yeah, it's gonna be a great meal there. So excited for that. Anyway, we'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. I'll see if I can't make a recording from the cabana and get my wife to kind of give some of her impressions as well. But that's it for tonight, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
Well, hello there, DCL Podcast. This is Chad back again, day 3, and you find me right now staring at the beautiful Castaway Cay. Literally a picture-perfect day here. Low 70s, so not super hot, no wind, sunny skies. Literally could not have been a better day here at Castaway Cay. So we got up, we did our usual thing here at Castaway where we kind of get the continental breakfast served to the room. Easy to kind of watch us pull in. Actually, I think we got in a little bit early today. So Captain had no problems getting in. It was great. And despite all the wind yesterday, so there was a little bit of concern that maybe we might linger into today, but not so bad. And so we got in a little bit early and then had our breakfast here on the balcony, kind of just looking at the Castaway, and got off and then so I think I mentioned yesterday we had a cabana today. So what we did was we went and did our shopping because, as most know, or if you've been here before, you know that the shops are pretty limited with what they have. So if they run out of your size, it is gone. Like, it is not something that they can replenish generally from the island. So we always tend to shop really early. So we walked to the first one. I think she sells seashells and everything else. And then we walked there and got a few things for ourselves and for the kids, and then walked over to the next one, over by where the 5K starts, which I think is seashells and everything else. And I can't remember by the seashore, I think it is. And didn't see anything we really wanted in there. So we then moved over. We took the tram over to Serenity Bay and went to our cabana for the day. And honestly, that's pretty much the extent of our day. Well, I take that back. We got there. Sorry, a little bit of boat noise. We actually had parasailing today. Parasailing actually happened. So it was pretty surprising. But we left, we did the 5K, but we did kind of what I called the reverse 5K. So we started over in Serenity Bay, kind of came down the runway, did the loop, and then went over towards kind of where the start is, and then picked up our medal at the halfway point, and then ran back up the runway, did the loop again, and then ran back towards Serenity Bay. And I was feeling really great today, so I decided to do the Serenity Bay bike path too. So that probably added, I don't know, like about little over a mile, 1.2, maybe 1.4 miles to my run today. But I was feeling really good and I was really enjoying myself, so I decided to sort of keep going. From there, we just pretty much chilled out at the cabana for the day. Gorgeous weather. It was a little bit cool in the morning, but I'll say those cabanas on the Serenity Bay side stay pretty shaded for the day. So like, my wife is a shade lover, so she tended to sort of hang out kind of in the shaded areas of the cabana and stuff like that. I sought the sun out a couple of times on the hammock, and then she had a really good idea about like taking because there's, unlike the family cabanas, they don't seem to have those chairs that you can sit out. So she took the pool tube and then the float tube and kind of put them together in a little ingenious little way of kind of being able to relax in front of our cabana. But yeah, it was a really, really good day. Lynn is here. Any thoughts that you have on today?
Lovely day. It was a lovely day.
That's about all you guys are going to get out of her. She's not really into the recording for the podcast. So anyway, great day. We're really looking forward tomorrow to Lookout Cay for the first time. It's going to be a lot more active day tomorrow, I think, because we're going to try and do a lot of exploring. I'd like to go and see the lighthouse and see some of the nature trails. We may choose to do our own Lookout Cay 5K. We got to figure out kind of the lay of the land there to figure out whether that's possible or not. But as long as I run 3.1 miles, then I feel like I can buy one of those Lookout Cay 5K shirts, whether it's the course they have set up or not. So we'll see kind of how that goes. But it's going to be a little bit warmer tomorrow, kind of like mid to upper 70s. So looking forward to that and getting our first crack at Lookout Cay. Anyway, back with more tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Bye. Well, hello, we are back. It is day 5. Skipped ahead a little bit here. Things got busy yesterday with being at Lookout Cay and then kind of coming back here into a bunch of the events and stuff. So just kind of recapping kind of our last day and a half or so. Yesterday was a Lookout Cay day. So for our first time being there, so had a lot to learn and a lot to explore and check out. I think my overall impressions of it is, well, number one, it's gorgeous. It's everything that people say that it is. Breathtaking beaches, just perfectly laid out. The way that they've got it sort of stretching the beach. You are always close to the things that you need to get to, whether it be bathrooms, whether it be bars, whether it be food. There's something close just about every place that you are when you are on that beach. The walk from the pier, I think, got massively overblown on the front end. I think people have sort of dialed back how terrified you need to be of it. Is it a long pier? Yes, it is. Is it completely undoable? No. And there are options for people that do have walking difficulties. You can sign up the night before with guest services, and they will take you by golf cart right to the tram stop. And then the tram stop basically takes you right to the beach. And then what I'll say is, that's been pretty widely reported, right? That you can arrange to get the transportation. On the way back, what I hadn't heard is that there's basically a lineup. So at the island side of the pier, if you need help because, hey, you're just worn out from the sun all day, you got little kids, whatever, they will basically, there's a lineup there, and then they are just shuttling people on big golf carts back and forth from the ship back to the pier. So totally doable. But again, if you do need help, it's there. The other thing I hadn't seen is that there are wagons. So it looks like DCL went out and bought a ton of plastic red wagons that you can grab to pull your kids in. So if you've got littles, I saw multiple people that basically had two little kids kind of in the wagon, and then they were just kind of sort of pulling them behind them so that the kids don't necessarily have to walk, but the adults can. That's an option too. So I hadn't heard that previously, but it was good to see that Disney's trying to figure out options for families that have little kids that maybe that's a little bit too much of a walk for them. I'll say for me, overall impression of Lookout, Lighthouse, whatever people are calling it these days. I've been hearing about what a slam dunk it is over Castaway, and it's not that for me. I think it's close. Like, I think they're both great, but to me, it's not necessarily a total slam dunk for it. It needs a lot more shade, and I think that's been widely reported, is that just how open and stuff it is. I think it'll get there once some of the trees mature, but I mean, you're talking 5-10 years. In the meantime, I'd love it if they could figure out how to erect some sort of like temporary shade sails or things like that allow for people to get a little bit away from the sun. If you want to be right down on the beach, there are no umbrellas down there. It is just chairs. It is literally wide open to the sun. No chance of getting any sort of shade down by the beach. If you'll be back behind those berms that they've got, where they've got the little bridges that kind of go over the berm that get down to where the beach and the water is, those are the areas that have umbrellas. But as you know, the sun moves, the umbrellas don't. So kind of throughout the day, you're kind of trying to reposition your chair, doing as best you can. I think I mentioned in the last snippet, my wife Lynn is not a sun lover, and so we were constantly trying to shift ourselves around to try and find a little bit more shade for her. We were all the way down on the right side, kind of down by like where the Sebastian's something, the kids club stuff is down that way. We were kind of given the advice to go all the way down on the right. We did do some exploring and kind of walk the nature trails out to where the lighthouse was. Really, really cool stuff on those nature trails. It is 100% not where they're going to have this 5K whenever it is that they actually start it up. They are selling the merch. I know it's been widely reported. We saw it in the shops. Didn't buy it because we walked 5K, but I decided not to get it because we were getting a bunch of other stuff. But there's no way that they're going to be able to hold that 5K on those nature trails. It is super uneven ground and lots of sand across it. It's not conducive of being able to run the 5K on those trails. So I was talking with Christy. I think it's going to have to be probably out on the road someplace, because even some of the paved paths through and around Lookout, I mean, they're congested with people walking to and from beaches or food places or whatever. There's just not enough space to be able to do that where the existing paths are. So it'll be interesting to see how and when they get that up and running and where it's going to go, but it doesn't seem like it's ready for prime time just yet. So we kind of did a loop around the nature trails, then walked out to Serenity Bay. Serenity Bay for me is a massive upgrade over what's at Castaway. The beach at Castaway is extremely underwhelming for me. It's steep, it's short, it's generally got a bunch of crap all over it, like it was just tons of seaweed and stuff on it when we were there 2 days ago. The Serenity Beach at Lookout is gorgeous. It's that same powdery fine sand, tons of deep beach chairs. Same thing like with the family beach. There's no shade down on the actual like waterfront beach area, but again, you get behind the berm, that's where the umbrellas are, and then there's a bar right there with bathrooms. And I think somebody else mentioned in a recent podcast, Like these are real bathrooms. They're not like the, makeshift stuff that they do for storytelling at Castaway. These are nice. They're really nice facilities. And again, having that bar right there versus having to kind of walk that stretch of beach to get kind of back over towards the one at Castaway. Really, really convenient. So to me, Serenity is a massive upgrade for adults on the ship. So as much as maybe the adult areas on the ships have regressed a bit from the classic ships to the Dream class to the Wish class, they have upgraded as far as the adult space goes at Serenity. So yeah, I think next time we are here, especially if we are, although I think next time we're here with our family, so it probably wouldn't be that time. But the next time we're here at an adult only time, I will 100% spend my day down at Serenity. But overall, I think it's a great addition to Disney Cruise Line. Excited to watch it kind of develop over time. It does seem like it's a bit more walking just because you've got all these kind of bridges and paths and stuff to kind of go around on. And there's really no straight line to kind of get where you need to get to because of the way they've kind of designed all these boardwalks throughout the space. But it's gorgeous. And I would say it gives off it's more like a beach club that you would pay for, like when you go to visit Cozumel or something like that, where it seems like it's like a paid for beach club kind of thing. And really, really nice. It's a very different vibe. I'll say, when they first announced Lookout, I was pretty underwhelmed. I was like, hey, it's just more of the same. Why is this different? It couldn't possibly be more different. It's such a different vibe on there versus at Castaway, while still offering a lot of the same amenities, right? Your beach chairs, your food, all the things, right? But it's just a very different vibe, and I'm really excited to watch it kind of progress. The one other tip that I'll give, and I'd heard this previously, but like we were down all the way on the right, kind of down by, like I said, by the kids clubs and stuff, because we wanted to like walk out to some of the nature trails and have easy access to that. We went to go grab lunch at Two True Barbecue, and the line was absurd. So what I'd heard was, if one's long, go check the other one. We walked over to Two True 2 and literally walked up for service. So just be aware of that. I think the people that are down on that side of the island where Two True 2 is, a lot of the adults will wind up going over to the Serenity Barbecue and just don't necessarily. I think that Two True 2 just doesn't get the traffic that the Two True Barbecue does. So just kind of a tip for people as you visit the island. If one is super busy, go check the other one out. It's a 2-minute walk from one to the other. Anyway, last night, the Marvel stuff kicked off here, and we had second dining this trip, which we usually do. So we hurried our servers along, basically skipped dessert to kind of get up to watch the deck party last night. It's great. It's 100% different than it was when we last cruised on the Marvel Day at Sea in 2019. And so now they kind of brought like a multiverse angle into it. There's a ton of different characters than there were there. And just even like some of the video footage and stuff is different from what it was when we last did the Marvel Day at Sea in 2019. So that was a lot of fun. We were trying to watch it from the rail up on deck 12, but we couldn't really find a good spot for it. So we kind of wandered down and got lucky with a really good viewing spot kind of on deck 11, where we were able to record the whole show. Maybe we'll figure out a way how we can upload it later on. But it's all over YouTube, so you probably don't really need my recording. But it was really entertaining, about 30 minutes long. And then we went down to Evolution because we wanted to go see the Ravagers Club. So the Ravagers are the kind of some of the, they're not villains, but they're kind of antagonists, I guess, as part of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. We did that on our last Marvel Day at Sea cruise in 2019. Had a ton of fun, and it was different this time. So Star-Lord and Gamora were there, and then the Ravagers were there, and then they weren't there. So I swear, like in the past, like the Ravagers like hung around, and like after insisting for a while that Ravagers don't dance, they would actually start to dance, and they would like dance with people, and like they were kind of there like hanging out, and that didn't happen this time around. So they just sort of disappeared on you, and then it was just kind of the cruise entertainment staff that was kind of like taking people through what I will call various wedding dances, the electric slide and stuff like that. So that went till about midnight, and then we kind of came back here to the room. So today is the actual Marvel Day at Sea. We went, and it's Churro Waffle Day. So this is my first time getting the churro waffles, and I see why everyone loves them so much. We then grabbed some coffee at the Cove, and then went to kind of go walk on deck 4. Immediately ran into Loki down there and asked him how he was enjoying the sailing so far, and he said it was terrible because Thor is here, which cracked us up. And then a few minutes ago, I was actually looking for a quiet place to record, which, spoiler alert, is really hard to find on a sea day, and ran into Ant-Man and the Wasp up on deck 5 near the atrium. So I just grabbed a quick quick picture with them. And this afternoon, we've got some character meet and greets that are scheduled. We've got, we might go see Captain America Brave New World in Walt Disney Theater at 1. We'll see. But I'll be back tomorrow and tell you more about kind of how all the festivities and stuff with Marvel Day at Sea come to be. We got to pack today, so it's always a bummer for doing that. But yeah, anyway, we'll be back with more tomorrow. See ya. Hey, everybody. I am back. And unlike what I said in the end of the last snippet, being back tomorrow, it is not tomorrow. It is actually 2 days later. And I'm home. Trying to record something that next morning or even that evening was just pretty hectic. So we didn't get anything done. And then I was going to try and do it at the airport, but there was really no good place to do it. So here we are at home. And I know I'm home because it snowed this morning, and it definitely would not have done that in Fort Lauderdale or on Castaway or at sea or any of those things. So that was a bummer that I had to go out and clear the snow this morning. But thinking back on the sort of that final day of the cruise, it was a little bit anticlimactic, I guess. So the itinerary that we had was obviously starting in Fort Lauderdale, Nassau, Castaway, Lookout, Day at Sea, right? And they did all of the, in our previous Marvel Day at Sea cruise, it was a Cozumel run. So they did the sea day between Cozumel and Castaway. And that's when the Marvel Day at Sea was, kind of on that middle sea day. And what that allowed them to do was have a full Marvel Day at Sea versus kind of what this one was, which I would call it a half Marvel Day at Sea and then another sort of half Marvel Day at Sea kind of. So because they ran the Marvel show the night before the actual sea day, it kind of made for an anticlimactic, quote unquote, Marvel Day at Sea, because kind of the big thing that you look forward to all day long is kind of like, all right, I'm going to go to the special dinner with all the Marvel menus and stuff like that. And then we've got the big, superhero extravaganza with fireworks and everything like that at sea, or sorry, at that evening after dinner. And there wasn't any of that. So it's kind of like, hey, they hit you with a bang, leaving Lookout, because that's when they do all the deck performances and you start to get some of the heroes are now kind of out wandering around and whatnot. But then you kind of get into the next day, and yes, there's the kind of the little superhero splash things and they've got superhero things around the theming around the cabanas, and there's little pop-up things all over the ship with different heroes and stuff on them. And then we went to Marvel trivia. So there was a bunch of things like that are happening around the ship. But, for the most part, it's just a bit anticlimactic when the big event that you have for the superheroes happens kind of at the beginning of, really before the Marvel Day at quote unquote sea even happens. So, it felt very much like a regular kind of sea day, with the exception of the fact that we had a couple of those character meet and greets. So there are, for the Marvel Day at Sea special meets, there's an Asgard one, there's a Headquarters one, and there's a Guardians one. Prior to the cruise, we were able to sign up for those. We got spots at the Asgard one. We got spots at Headquarters. We didn't get one in advance for the Guardians, but after we boarded, there were more times that came available, and I thought it was going to be going to be on that Friday, so the sea day, and it actually wound up being, I think, on our Nassau day, and we were doing something else, so we just kind of let the Guardians one go. But we did go to the meet and greets for the Headquarters, which was Spider-Man and Iron Man. And then we went to the one for our Asgard as well, and that was Thor and Mighty Thor. So that's Thor and Jane, the Jane Foster character. That was probably the one that I enjoyed the most, because we'd met Spider-Man and Iron Man before, but this was the first time we had a chance to see Thor and Mighty Thor. And Thor was asking us if I think in the last snippet I mentioned how we saw Loki out on the deck, and he asked us, have you seen Loki around? And we said, actually, we did, and he said he wasn't having a good time because you were here, and he's like, well, we are brothers. I would have said the same thing about him. So it's funny kind of how they play off of each other. But so that was some fun. And then, like I said, I mentioned we packed, and we did do some Marvel trivia during the day. And it was just kind of a lazy day. We just kind of hung out in the cove a little bit, and just kind of enjoyed the ship for kind of that last day. But it didn't feel, other than those couple of meet and greets, it didn't feel necessarily all that different. We didn't spend a lot of time, I usually like to at least catch something by Funnel Vision. And I'll say Funnel Vision, the sea day there had a lot of Marvel content, both movies and shows. So they were showing a couple of episodes of WandaVision, I believe Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye. So they were kind of showing different episodes from the Disney Plus series and stuff on there. I think there was a Ms. Marvel behind the scenes thing that was on there. And then the Buena Vista Theater was pretty much showing Marvel films all day long. And then I think I mentioned that they were showing the new Captain America movie in the Walt Disney Theater, which I thought we might go to, but we didn't. We just wound up kind of hanging out instead. So yeah, it wasn't super different, I think, from most regular C days. There wasn't anything at night. There was I think it was Believe or whatever the stage performance was, but no, obviously the deck party had already occurred the night before. So everything just sort of felt a little bit disjointed for me compared to kind of the last time that when we had, let's call it a more cohesive Marvel Day at Sea. But anyway, kind of wrapping up the sailing, it was awesome. This is the third time that my wife and I have had a chance to sail, just the two of us. So it's always a nice time just to get away, just the two of us, and have a sort of a separate experience from the kids. I think the thing that I'm looking forward to most, our next sailing is actually on the Fantasy, doing the exact same itinerary, just, without the Marvel Day at Sea over Christmas. And I'm really, really looking forward to getting back on with our kids. So this has now been 2 Disney cruises in a row that we've done just adults only, and our kids haven't been on a Disney cruise since October of 2022, I think, when we were on the Wish. So looking forward to getting back on with them, creating some family memories too, and just getting a chance to show them Lookout too. And I'll be really interested to see how Lookout continues to grow and advance and really kind of come into its own a little bit in a way that maybe it isn't just yet. So anyway, thanks for coming along with us. It was fun, and it's dicey whether Christy and Lake will ever ask me to do this again. Consider I've probably bored everybody to tears now for the last however many minutes this has been in total. But thanks for letting me kind of ramble on a little bit, and hopefully somebody somewhere along the way has learned something that'll help their cruises be a little bit more helpful or magical along the way. Anyway, take care, everybody. We'll see you around.
Well, it's going to wrap up the show. Once again, I want to thank Chad for coming on and filming snippets throughout his cruise. It can be a lot to sometimes take the time to sit down and record these, and we greatly appreciate him doing that during his sailing. If you're enjoying the show, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'd also like to thank our Patreons who help make the show happen each and every week for us. You too can help support the show by visiting us at patreon.com/DCL Podcast. Whether you're boarding a cruise, enjoying a trip to the parks, or adventuring outside of Disney, on behalf of myself, Christy, and Steve, we want to wish you smooth sailing and safe travels. And we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.